Now, kind of just bringing it back to your work. When dealing with new patients, do you ever have some that are, I guess, stubborn to the facts about dental health? Like everyone must know that you got to floss by now, right? Do you ever have those people that have these misconceptions or have these false facts, I guess, of the dental world?
No, pretty much everyone kind of gets it, so to speak. They know how to take care of stuff. But what I do notice is there's some that come in that are kind of wanting to take this natural, organic path, that somehow fluoride is something that they want to avoid. Fluoride is a naturally occurring element, but somehow I guess they think it is some kind of chemical that they don't want to take in. They may have read some kind of information on Dr. Google about how fluoride is bad for you, and maybe it is. I haven't read all the research. All I know is that when they don't use fluoride in their toothpaste, that they're going to get cavities, which are natural. So if you want to go natural, you can make your natural sugar, and the natural bacteria in your teeth will naturally cause decay. I understand they're trying to be healthy, and that's great, but there's some downsides to some of these things. So I'm just going to go with what's been kind of tried and true. And so we have some patients that come in, and we just have to tell them this is kind of our stand on it. And, we'll treat you however you want, but just know that you'll be visiting me more often if you don't use fluoride. So don't eat so much sugar. But no, it's very much, I think, in this area, we kind of live in a more affluent area. And most people here are educated, and they get it. They understand how to be healthy. So thankfully, we don't have that many bombed out cases, but every once in a while we do.
Yeah, and it's funny because the poorer job that they taking care of their own teeth, the more business it is for you guys, right? So do you kind of secretly hope that that they're not doing their part?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of one of those, you pay me now, pay me later kind of things. It's like there was some guy in today, he has an impacted wisdom tooth that's tilting to the side with almost like a cyst forming around it. Doesn't bother him, so he's not going to do anything. He's 50 years old. He's been that way ever since his adult life. But, you try telling him it's going to blow up on you. It's going to be an infection at some point. Just you're healthy now, get it done now. Or if you want to roll the dice and see how you are, maybe 15 years down the road, you're not going to be as strong. You're not going to bounce back as much. It might be more take a toll on you. And so they just have to roll the dice. They got to take their chances,
Yeah. Now, we've talked a lot about the successes that your clinic has had. And one of the previous professionals that we had spoken to was an optometrist who also had his own clinic. Now, he's talked about some of the trials and tribulations that his clinic has gone through, and even dealing with insurance companies. What sort of obstacles have you guys faced?
Thankfully, nothing big. We haven't had any major devastation, no major tragedies of any kind, but it's just been over the 20 years, it's that kind of going back to that growth they were talking about. Every time you're going to take another step of growth, it involves some leap of faith. Again, you can do all the spreadsheets and calculations, but in the end, you're going to have to make that leap and say, is this going to work? And you don't know, there's no guarantee, but you go ahead and take the leap anyways. So it's just kind of that unknown you got to deal with, and that's kind of in adversity, I guess, if you want to think of it that way. But there's all, external factors as well. Like you mentioned, insurance companies, they're okay. It's just sometimes there's delays and they don't pay as much as they say they're going to. And then that's always a hassle between us and the insurance company and the patient. But we try to work out our systems to minimize that. Our office is, like I said, it's kind of one of the bigger ones in town. We see anywhere from about 70 to 100 patients a day walk in and out of those doors. So we've had enough reps over the years to kind of maybe work out some of the little quirky things that can happen. But yeah, just really working out systems. And any problems that we've had have been mostly, let's just say, people related. Let's just say with staff or with our processes. And what we try to do is try to weed out those inefficiencies or some of those problems by systems. And so it's one of those management things that I have to kind of remind myself all the time is to, when there's a problem, to not attack the person, but try to attack the problem. The person's not broken, probably. It's usually the system is broken. And so it's trying to work on those systems. And so the adversity is always trying to go back and go back to the lab basically and try to build a better mousetrap. But the thing is, of course, you can take it too far to extreme when you try to make everything so tightly controlled that you don't want any problems at all. Well, now you've maybe done so many things that you've alienated everyone with your policies that you put in place. So that balance between the two, having good systems, but having not be so restrictive that it can still flow easily for everyone. So that's it. I mean, we've had 9/11. DFW Airport is right here. I mean, it's 15 minutes away, and American Airlines is one of the major employers in this area. And so when that whole thing happened, I mean, there weren't planes, as we all remember, weren't flying overhead for days. I mean, that was kind of an eerie feeling around here, and had no idea. No one knew what was going to happen to the country at that point. Do people kind of pull back on doing, spending at that point, or what was going to happen? Then you had the 2008, 2009 financial meltdown. Again, people nervous, all their 401ks, all their retirement, all that extra money that they may spend on dental work or whatever it might be, they kind of are putting the kibosh on that and saying, we're going to wait for a little bit. And so, although those weren't directly affecting, the office, nothing happened to us, but it was more of those worldwide global things. Thankfully, we weathered it. And you just don't know when the next one's going to hit. I mean, if you think back, we had, the tech crash 2000, 2001 with 9/11, and then 8-9 years later, you had financial problems, and here we are 2019. What's going to be next? Something. It seems like, about every 10, 12, 15 years, something happens. So we're just trying to run our show the best way we can and just not get too overextended and be ready to handle the next storm, whatever it might be.
Absolutely. There have been, these kind of decade-defining moments that you can't really control at all when it happens for the rest of the world. But it sounds like you guys have these systems in place and these contingency plans to really, do the work on your end as far as a company itself, and making sure that everything is aligned, everyone knows what's going on, and everyone's kept up to date as far as the culture it is of the company. Would you say that you guys have, I'd say, like a fun-loving culture? Like, you guys seem so close. Like, even some of your Instagram posts, your YouTube videos, I can tell that everyone has fun there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we have a couple dozen staff. They're predominantly females. There's just me and another guy, another dentist. So, they all get along. I mean, great. I mean, I say they throw baby showers for each other when someone's pregnant. One of them's right now getting married. She's having one of the girls are throwing her a party. I see them on Facebook. They all hang out together. They have little cliques, but they hang out together after work. I see each other covering for one another, helping each other out when there's some problem going on in their personal life. They just, I think it's because they care about one another that really goes a long way. And I mean, it's just, I try to stay out of it because I don't know, me as the owner really needs to get involved, personally with those kinds of things. But, I just love it that they all kind of seem to gel. And I think it's picking the right people when you hire them is big. And so, it's great that they kind of work together.
Definitely. And, I wouldn't have learned all of this if it wasn't for things like Instagram, for YouTube. How else has technology kind of impacted your careers? Anywhere from the tech actually in the patient room to different systems and even social media itself.
Right. It was one of the things that keeps morphing. Like today, we just set this up this past week where I can go to put this extension on my Google Chrome and I can screencast, or I can capture the screen. I'm sure there's other programs out there. And I can easily pull up onto the screen a patient's x-rays, photographs, any kind of charting information. I can pull in a patient education diagram that I may have grabbed off the internet. And I can, within about a minute or two, I can put together a virtual consultation and send it to a patient so that when they go home after, even though we may talk in face to face, we may have covered a lot and it could have overwhelmed them. And they need to go, talk to their spouse or think about what they want to do. If I can now take that information, make this little video, send them a Google link, and now they can watch that at home repeatedly and show it to whoever they need to show to, is a decision maker or someone who's going to help be part of their decision. that I think is going to be very helpful. We just started that this past week. As we mentioned, technology, that's just one of the new things we added. And you can add in all the different things. We have, I don't know if you've ever had this done, you go to the office, dental office, and they take your impression of that gooey kind of silicone material. We now have a 3D camera. We actually have 2 of them in the office. And, it's a $25,000 thing, but, you take this camera, it takes several different photos of the teeth along the way, and it's a 3D model. And that's now sent off to a lab where they can do 3D printing. X-rays are no longer film, they're digital. We can also take what's called a cone beam film, which is a 3-dimensional film. You take a regular X-ray, it's just that little, you kind of remember the little postage stamp looking thing. Okay, well now of course they're digital, but still this is the 2-dimensional representation of a 3-dimensional object. Well, now you can take a 3D film and you can now look at this object and everything that's contained within it. And you can look down the roots, you can look at the sides, you can look at different slices, just like you would like an MRI at a hospital. It's like that, you can have it right there in the dental office. I can use my iPad, I can take a picture of somebody with my iPhone, go right to the iPad and show them a smile simulation. Like if they're missing a tooth, well, what would it look like if they had a tooth? You just pop a tooth right in there, just like a Photoshop kind of thing. So it's kind of made communication and diagnostics a lot easier with patients, and of course on ourselves. Just so much has changed in 20 years when I got out. I mean, now they have Invisalign, which are those little clear trays. People, used to have braces. Well, they still do braces, but you can pop in these trays and the teeth will start nudging themselves into the right spot. So yeah, it's just so much that's going to be going on here with technology currently, and I think it's coming up down the road. It's just like, for example, a laser. I'm sorry, I just forgot this part. Just bought a laser that instead of using a drill to go in and grind out a cavity, this laser goes in and zaps it out, basically. And because of the way it's interacting with the tooth and the enamel, many times the patients can feel something, but it isn't so bad that they would need a shot to get through it. So imagine you can go in for a filling without the drill and without a needle. So we're still testing that thing out. It's fairly new, but so far it's looking quite promising. So it's just stuff like that makes our job so much easier. All this stuff is expensive. Everyone's, why does it cost so much? To get dental work done. Well, it's the stuff that it takes to actually get it into final delivery.
Yeah, I think it makes your lives easier, and it kind of makes the patient's lives easier.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like with that last example. I mean, someone who comes in for a cleaning, we spot a small cavity. You want to get that done while you're here today. It's 10 minutes, no injection, no shot. Yeah, okay, I get it done. Boom, no second appointment. Maybe they already had their babysitter. Maybe they already took off of work. Whatever it is, they're not inconvenienced. And we get it done now. We don't have to wait on getting it done later. They don't have to. It's a win-win for everyone. So, yeah, you have to make it easy.